Alright guys, we've got a vintage Gretsch kit on the bench and we're bringing it back to life. Welcome to the channel where we restore and maintain used drum kits. I spotted this kit on Marketplace. 280 Canadian dollars later, it was in the back of my car. It's a complete 5-piece setup. I can only speculate on the model and the year this kit was made. I found this old Gretsch catalog from 2003 showing that the square badge was used from 1986 to 2004. Unlike the gold USA custom badges, the pewter badges on this kit don't have USA on either side of the air vent, which suggests it's from an import line. The Black Hawk series from those years also came with 12 and 13-inch toms, which matches this kit. The kit is in good condition considering its age, just the normal amount of dust and almost no rust. The shells are in excellent shape and the aquarium drum heads still have plenty of life left in them. The rack toms are mounted on a nice suspension system. The kit also came with a DW kick pedal, decent cymbal stands and an entry-level throne. The cymbals that came with the kit were made by an Italian company called Zanki, which used this logo until 1992 and manufactured cymbals using a process called rotocasting. Alright, let's start taking everything apart. First, the snare. I loosen all the tension rods by hand, then switch to a power tool to speed things up. The snare wires are damaged, so they'll need to be replaced. This resonant head is obviously done for, and this kit is definitely due for a deep clean. The inner shells are natural wood. They look like maple to me, but I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments what you think. Then I repeat the process for the rest of the drums. Since the shells and wrap are in great shape, I'm leaving the lugs in place. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Here's my go-to drum cleaning kit. Nice and simple. Before cleaning, I check the tension on every lug. Over time, they can loosen up, so I make sure everything is snug, no over-tightening. For the final touch, I polish the shells with Meguiar's Instant Shine Protectant. And just so you know, I'm not sponsored by any of these brands. Just a little elbow grease and the shells really come back to life. These hoops only have a bit of dust and no rust, so it's the same recipe. cleaning vinegar, followed by grade 0000 steel wool, so extra fine, and my metal polish. For parts with heavier grind, nothing beats a piece of crumpled aluminum foil and a good cleaning agent. For stickers or tape residue, I use a bit of Goo Gone and some gentle scrubbing. Sometimes I'll do a light pass using a razor blade. Notice this pearl stand with the roller chain drive. It appears in a 1991 catalog as model H880, described as providing smoother action. This 40-year-old tension knob had broken and couldn't stretch the spring enough, so my quick and inexpensive fix, a hose clamp. Next up is all the small hardware. I usually soak everything in warm soapy water first. This time I tried a mixture of baking soda and dishwasher detergent to help loosen years of dirt and grease. I finish with a light coat of WD-40. It drives out any remaining moisture and helps protect the metal. For rusty parts, I'll either use a rust removing bath or, in this case, just some steel wool and WD-40. For cymbals, I use a two-step process. First, Barkeeper's Friend Cleanser. It works really well on tarnish. I try to preserve the logos as much as possible, so I clean very gently around them. For step 2, I use Music Nomad Cymbal Cleaner. It's my go-to product, and no, I'm not sponsored. Then I repeat the process for the rest of the cymbals. Everything is cleaned up and ready for reassembly. I just received these affordable snare wires, so let's check them out. I also picked up a set of Ross drum heads. Again, not sponsored. I bought both the batter and resonant heads, but for now I'm only replacing the bottom head on the snare. If you've watched my other videos, you've probably noticed that I often reuse drum heads, as long as they're not dented and the coating is still in good shape. Most of the time, a magic eraser is enough to remove the stick marks. The snare wires came with two mounting options. I chose the plastic strips over the strings. That's just personal preference. For now, I only finger tighten everything, making sure the tension is even and the heads are wrinkle free. At this stage, this is in tuning. So far so good. Let's see how responsive the snare will be. Now I center the snare wires on the head and secure them in place. I set the throw-off about halfway through its adjustment range, so I have room to fine-tune the snare response later. This Gretsch throw-off is a bit disappointing. It doesn't offer as much adjustment as many others I've used, but it'll do. I repeat the same process on the batter side. Even with both heads still loose, I'm already getting some snare response. A very light sanding to help the head seat properly. This resonant head was previously used as a batter head and is completely worn out, so it's going in the trash. And then I simply repeat the process for the rest of the drums. Another interesting thing about this Gretsch kit is that the tom bearing edge are different on each side, even though the drums appear to be designed to mount either way. One edge is more rounded while the other is flatter. On the floor tom, the bearing edges are identical, but the logos on the leg brackets seem upside down. Interesting. Any thoughts? Take a look at the bass drum hoop. It's not symmetrical. The inside edge is flat, so it makes proper contact with the drum head. I installed the batter head at its lowest tension. This is the only drum I'm not going to tune further. Then I add a blanket inside for muffling. The resonant head already has built-in dampening, so I'm leaving it alone. Okay, time for tuning. Just to be clear, this isn't a tuning lesson. It's simply my personal process. Remember, I started with all the heads at their lowest tension. Using an old school drum dial, I first make sure the tension is reasonably even all around the head. It's not an exact science, just a starting point. From there, I tighten opposite lugs as I work around the drum. I tap tune each lug to match the pitch using my ears, a tuning app, or a tone generator. Slowly working up the pitch I want for each drum. Unlike many drummers who tune in quarter, half or full turns, I prefer making very small adjustments, about an eighth to a quarter turn at a time. It takes a little longer, but I find it much easier to reach the pitch I want without things getting out of control. I always start with a pitch in mind, the intervals I want between each tom, and the relationship between the batter and resonant heads. For this kit, I tune the resonant head slightly higher than the batter head. It gives the drums a nice medium sustain, not too ringy, and works well for live playing. Alright, let's hear how this kit sounds. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned for my next project. And until next time, happy drumming!